Hey, it's Mr. Haskell, and I'm back with another thing you should know just by being alive, or another person you should know. Today I'm going to talk about Ona Judge. I mentioned her briefly in a comment that was left on my previous video about George Washington and his plantation, and I mentioned Ona Judge as someone that he used his powers to try and return back to slavery. So we've all heard of George Washington, and very few of us most likely have heard of Ona Judge. She escaped slavery from the President of the United States, and then she never went back. And she was born into slavery in 1773 at Mount Vernon, George Washington's plantation. Her mother was an enslaved seamstress, and her father was a white English tailor, a free man. But under Virginia law, that didn't matter. Ona was enslaved from birth. She was taken to Philadelphia when Washington became president, and she worked as Martha Washington's personal maid. This made her very close to the family, but she was still property of the Washington family. In 1796, Ona learned she was going to be given away as a wedding gift to Martha's spoiled granddaughter, and this was Ona's breaking point. While the Washingtons were eating dinner, Ona slipped out of the house, got help from free black and abolitionist communities, and escaped by ship to New Hampshire. It was bold and it was dangerous, and it also worked. But George Washington did not let it go. He used his power, he used his political and government connections to try and hunt her down, even trying to exploit the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793. But every time, Ona refused to return. In one interview late in life, she said, "I am free and have, I trust, been made so by the Lord Jesus Christ." Washington could have freed her, and he didn't. Even after his death, she was never granted freedom legally, but she lived the rest of her life as a free woman in New Hampshire, always watching her back. Now, to add to that, Washington, in his will, did free the other slaves that were owned on his plantation, but never freed Ona. Ona Judge died in 1848, and she outlived the man who tried to re-enslave her, and she told her story loud enough that we can still hear it today. Her interviews were published while she was still alive, and it was a rare and powerful first-hand account of a woman who fought back against one of the most powerful men in history. You know, George Washington is hailed as a hero for fighting back as what he saw as tyranny and control over his life when it came to the British government. But when, Ona Judge, fought for her freedom, she's not quite held up in the same regard. Anyhow, Ona Judge didn't just escape. She resisted. She survived, and her courage deserves to be remembered. This is definitely something, or someone, you should just know about. Thanks a lot.